Hi guys, I'm Mike from F1 Fanatics and this is F1 Online Decoded.
Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new series, F1 Online Decoded. Now this is the second season of what was formerly known as F1 YouTubers Decoded. The series we ran in 2019, interviewing some of the biggest names and rising stars in YouTube. What better way to kick off the new series than with a returning fan favourite, a rising star, and a great guy who's been on our channel before, Mike from F1 Fanatics. Now F1 Fanatics was created at the British Grand Prix of 2019. He immediately impressed with his charisma and knowledge of the sport. A few weeks later we had collaborations set up, which would later turn out to be a partnership and a friendship between our two channels. He has great knowledge of Formula 1, Ferrari, and is a great guy to talk to as well. As Mike and the other guys on the channel will tell you, they just like talking about Formula 1 and watching cars go round in circles, so you can see why we're impressed by them. We sat down ahead of the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne to talk about the past, the present and the future of F1 Fanatics. So sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the first episode of F1 Online Decoded in 2020 with a great interview with Mike from F1 Fanatics. So Mike, welcome along to our channel, of course, returning favourite for us and hopefully our listeners out there. Returning for a second series as well, of course, Series 1 was a big success for us. We've had you on the channel before, see some big collaborations, but you are here today for our new rebranded series. So how are you doing today? Are you excited for our interview for Series 2?
I'm very excited to be here, guys. I loved F1 YouTubers Decoded in the first season. I thought you had some awesome guests, and it was really cool kind of getting the guys that you've kind of learned to kind of get to know on YouTube just in a bit more. So when you guys offered the opportunity to me, it was a shame Ash was starting with his new job, he couldn't get on here as well, but yeah, we both kind of jumped at the opportunity, and yeah, can't wait for this today. It's going to be really good, and yeah, it's always fun to kind of chat to you guys. Always love being on your channel.
Well, thank you, Mike. Yeah, it's great to talk to you as well. Yeah, of course, Ash couldn't make it. You've got quite a few people behind the scenes. We'll get on to in a little bit. F1 Fanatics, of course, your YouTube channel started back in Silverstone, or just around July 2019. But of course, you were a Formula 1 fan before that. So give us a little bit of insight about what it was like for you. How did you get into Formula 1, and how did you grow up as we know you're a Ferrari fan, so what was it like to grow up as a Ferrari fan before F1 Fanatics came along?
So it's actually quite funny on that one. You're obviously mentioning Ferrari. I think the Ferrari bit came later on. Well, it was kind of almost hinted there because I'm sure you guys will bring it up later on. I am an Arsenal fan, and football was kind of my dad's big love, and so football was something always there, and kind of a little bit of cricket as well, were events we went to. But I always remembered kind of Formula 1 being on in the background, and I remember kind of I can't remember races, but I just remember kind of the Schumacher end of era dominance at Ferrari. And so, seeing that red car, and I was like, oh, I quite like that, it's red, like Arsenal. Maybe simple mind as a child, keep things simple. Red, that works for me. But yeah, it was actually in 2005 when I started properly getting into Formula 1. And it was with a driver, which I think if anyone follows me on the channel or on Twitter know that I'm a big fan of, which is Fernando Alonso. I know he is a bit like Marmite, you either love him or hate him, but during that 2005 season, I think I was aware that obviously the massive success that Michael had, and I was like, oh, this guy's quite good, this young guy coming onto the scene, that yellow and blue iconic livery for me of the Renault, was just really cool to, and I was like, start paying attention. And Imola, I remember the battle between Alonso and Schumacher. I know that was really intense, and I was like, this is pretty exciting, this sport. I might follow this a bit more. And actually not Alonso himself, but 2005 Suzuka with Kimi Raikkonen coming from, I think, 17th, he was back there. to overtake Fisichella on the last lap. You know, it's almost kind of like the movie storyline. I think that race, you know, if you see like a movie car film, it's always like last lap overtake. They just did it at the last gasp, but it felt like that in that race. But yeah, it kind of got me into the sport, and I've kind of been hooked ever since, I would say.
Well, yeah, that's good. So, of course, favourite driver was Fernando Alonso. The Ferraris, obviously, he started with Renault. So, did Ferrari start when he obviously came into the team, would you say, or before then?
I would say that was probably the main time I was following. I started around about that time, probably looking more into the history of F1. And, you know, obviously Ferrari are the most historic team in F1, most successful in its history, had some kind of absolutely brilliant drivers, was more aware of Michael Schumacher's accomplishments and kind of what he did. And, you know, my name being Michael, you know, it's kind of namesake from there on that front. And I quite liked Kimi Räikkönen as well when I was growing up. Those three were kind of ones I lended to. And then obviously Kimi had won a world championship with Ferrari. Fernando had gone in 2010 and almost won the championship against Vettel. Well, that kind of 5-way title fight back in 2010. But yeah, that was probably when I attached a little bit more, I would say. Yeah, Ferrari has kind of been it's weird. Football, it's diehard Arsenal. Like, there isn't anyone else that I support. Formula One, I would say, yeah, if I was going to support anyone, it would be Ferrari. They would be the ones that kind of I back. But I'm very much still, if Ferrari don't do too well, I'm like, well, I've seen a great race. It's more on that front. So it's more just an attachment, because a lot of my favourite drivers who I've had growing up, and Sebastian Vettel I'm a big fan of as well. And obviously he's a current Ferrari driver. That's probably where with Ferrari it's come from. A lot of the guys that I quite like drive for them, so naturally I would support them a little bit more.
So, favourite driver from the current grid?
From the current grid, Kimi Räikkönen.
Kimi, wow.
He's a character like no other. And considering if someone watches our channel and watch F1 Fantasy, where we have our Kimi moment of the week, I think that's probably no surprise on the current grid. But George Russell is coming very close now. I'm a big fan of George Russell. He's something about him is like, wow, this kid's good. He's got a great head on his shoulders, and I really can't wait to see him in a car that, you know, he can really kind of challenge and compete in. I think that's the only thing holding it back from being George Russell at the moment.
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome. Yeah, Kimi, I mean, oldest driver in the grid. Great to hold on to him as well. And of course, eagle-eyed viewers of F1 Fanatics, so even if this is your first time, go and check him out. You do have a Kimi Räikkönen, poster in the background. So I've noticed that. So there we go. You love, and of course following him to Alfa Romeo was, I'd say that was pretty good. So of course, Ferrari fan, hold on to a few of the things you said, hit their Kimi moment in Arsenal for later on, and it's good to see Ferrari fan. Obviously, Ferrari in Formula One have got a big following, and it's good to follow that kind of, you know, Italian passion in the sport.
So YouTube, Mike, you know, that's why you're here at the end of the day. That's why we're here. We like a bit of YouTube from now and then. It can get a bit spicy, from a bit heated whenever you say something controversial, you know. But at the end of the day, it's a nice platform to kind of share and express your feelings and opinions towards a certain topic that you like. In this case, of course, it's Formula One. So how did F1 Fanatics first come about? Like, you know, you started your channel quite recently, I know that. So what was the idea behind, you know, you creating F1 Fanatics?
So it was quite funny, actually. So it's something that I've always toyed with the idea, but I've never been like followed through with anything. And you know, I'd follow these kind of fan channels, and I'd kind of seen stuff like you guys were doing, like Sean from the F1 Words, and you know, I'd be watching and I'd be like, I really love talking about sport, and this is what it is. And actually, around the time, there were two channels I created. I haven't released any video on the other one, but there was Gunner's Chat with Mike.
Ooh.
And then there was F1 Fanatics.
Right.
And I was like, I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I want to invest more time in my love for Formula One, and this would be a great way to do it. But I didn't want to kind of do it by myself. I'd kind of seen there. So my girlfriend Hayley and her brother Ash, me and him, whenever I was seeing Hayley, you know, we would have like a catch up about sport. We would talk about football, you know, Formula One, everything. And I was like, look, I'm looking about doing this. Do you want to kind of do it? And then kind of Ash was like, yeah, sure. Thinking that he'd just help out on a couple of videos here and there. And then it's kind of turned into a little bit more than that. But that's kind of how F1 Fanatics came about. I had a passion for sport and a passion for F1. And I was like, you know what? I just want to talk about it. And I suppose I had a lot of people I could talk about football with, but I didn't really have many people I could talk about F1 with. So I was like, I think, you know, I'd talk about F1 reasonably well. You know, obviously not expert on it, never claimed to be an expert on it, just a fan, and that is the heart of the channel, that it's a fan's channel. But yeah, I thought, yeah, you know what, might as well give it a go. What's the harm that could happen?
those dreaded words. What could possibly go wrong?
And then I met you two guys, and
that's what we thought, and we're still thinking it is.
Yeah, I remember. I think you sent us a message. I can't remember roughly off the top of my head, but you were like, "Oh, do you guys want to be on our channel, the Club of Video?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. Why not? We do like a collab. We've done a fair few since, of course. We'll be charging you rent very soon. £35 a month, all right.
mates rates.
But you look at my words out. You were saying earlier about, like, you know, that you were watching some other F1 YouTubers. You've named a couple there. Would you say that anybody like influenced you to kind of start YouTube in itself, or even like beforehand? Because you said that before, that you had like an Arsenal kind of fan channel going along, and you kind of made the choice of go towards Formula One rather than the football one. So do you think that anybody, like any other YouTubers, like F1 or not, had an influence on you to start a YouTube channel?
I would say outside, I'll come to the F1 ones, but outside of F1, definitely kind of AFTV. Mm-hmm. I know they're a little bit controversial.
That's Arsenal fan TV, for anyone that doesn't know.
Yeah, true. So yeah, Arsenal fan TV. I know they're a little bit controversial, but from Robbie as a bloke, I think his core values as a fan at heart, and sharing his passion, and, you know, having the heart to kind of go to all the games and support and really kind of unite Arsenal fans together. I know obviously some people think that it divides and makes a fan base toxic, but I liked his principal idea. I think it got a little bit bigger than he thought it would do, so it's always difficult to manage those things. So Robbie probably would definitely be one there. In terms of the F1 community, I would say I was just watching kind of people around and I was going, well, what can I do that was different? Because there was obviously Sean, Aldas and Chazza, those type of guys who were doing kind of the audio clips from there. And then I seen you guys, and I was like, and you guys were on camera, and I was like, well, maybe that's something I should do. I'm stupid enough to kind of put my face on camera out there rather than do stuff. Maybe that's something that's a little bit unique. And I saw you guys kind of, you kind of grew quite well in the 2019 season. That was kind of almost your takeoff year. So although it sounds cheesy, obviously, that we're on the podcast together, you guys are my heroes.
It does sound cheesy.
But honestly, those were the type of things. I wouldn't say there was kind of one standout. It was kind of almost a collective, and I was like, you know what, these are good, and I feel like I have something to offer as well.
It's always good to share.
If that makes sense.
Oh yes, it's always good to share opinions as well, because I think someone said it when we went Autosport, which again we'll get onto a little bit later on. Somebody said that it's like, we have all these like variety of channels. Like we might have like, like 10 or 15 different channels. But if we were to put like, okay, who is the best driver in Formula One, each channel more than likely will have a different opinion. So it's always good to hear, all right, okay, what's Sean saying, what's Dan saying, what's all that saying, what's Mike saying as well, and like it just spices things up where you go, well, okay, that's a good point, and that's a good point, and that's what I like about the community of course, for F1 YouTube as well. It has its downsides, don't get me wrong, it has its downsides. But if you're like out there and you're thinking, I don't know, should I I've seen Mike, couple of Mike's videos, I don't know, should I start one? Yes, absolutely, I would highly recommend. And of course, if you haven't, please go and check out Mike's channel. Links will be in the description below. Please go and drop him a subscribe.
Yeah, so kind of away from you for a little bit, Mike, and going to the people behind the scenes, or as I say, also with you on your channel. You are one of the only, if not the only channel that I know, and Jordan knows, that have two people on different sides of the world, different hemispheres, that both work on the same channel. Now, obviously, if you don't know what that is, guys, obviously Mike has two guys behind the scenes here in England, of course, Ash and Stephen, who have appeared on many of his videos in the past. I believe Ash was also on your first ever episode. But at the start of 2020, or the end of 2019, you had a new addition to your channel. This guy called Mark, and what made Mark was quite unique was, as well as obviously him being a Formula 1 fan, was that he was from Australia.
G'day.
And of course is still in Australia. So there we go, Mike. You have some guys over here in England and a guy over in Australia that you do work with. You do quite a good few episodes with him on obviously a few of your topics, including your newest series, the Feeder series, which obviously talks about Formula 2 and 3. Me and Jordan have worked with him on one video you did last year, the Christmas quiz. So tell us a little bit about your partnership with, of course, Ash and Stephen, and how did your partnership go with Mark? And, of course, how is it recording with him? Because, of course, recording with Ash and Stephen, who you record with in real life, you're on the same time zone. You're in the flesh, in front of each other. But, of course, when you record with Mark, Australia is, 9, 10 and 11 hours ahead. So it's always got to be his morning and your night, or vice versa. So what are the challenges of doing that? And how challenging is it to record with a guy on the other side of the world?
So I'll start with Mark then, and then I'll go on to kind of Ash and Stephen. So Mark kind of came about. He was attached to a channel called Beyond the Grandstand, and he was the one who contacted me, and I remember going on a couple of podcasts of theirs as well. It was from another guy, Alex, in Australia as well. But for whatever reason, those guys, it didn't quite work out as they were planned, and I think it came to fruition maybe around about November, December in 2019. And Mark was like, this hasn't worked out. I've really enjoyed kind of the times that I've recorded and done videos with you guys. Would I be able to come on and maybe do a few more regular videos on your channel? So the initial idea was, in the break between Grand Prix, we would have like a topic video where me, Ash, and Mark would get together. But over the course of December, the more kind of mine and Mark's friendship grew and kind of the chat it happened, he suddenly came up with this idea. It was like, you know what, the Feeder series is going to be exciting. Maybe we should do something on the Feeder series. And I was like, you know what, that's a fantastic idea. And it kind of went from there, and the Feeder series kind of go. And yeah, Mark is a superb person because he has his strong opinions, and he's a very kind of fierce and kind of fighty guy, but he is so knowledgeable, and he was something that I couldn't turn down. It's almost one, he was kind of my friend that it was coming into, but I was like, this guy can really offer something to the channel. Like, my Feeder series knowledge is growing and getting better and better, but his you know, he's obsessed with the stuff. He really does kind of absolutely love it. In terms of the challenges of recording from Australia, I'm quite lucky that Mark's sleep patterns are a bit all over the place. So he generally tends to be like early mornings for me, and it's kind of afternoons and evenings for him. And then I think we recently did a video with Josh from New Zealand, Josh Revel as well, and so because they're both in the southern hemisphere, I had to I think I was up at like stupid o'clock to make sure it was in the afternoon for them. But yeah, it's challenging, but it's probably with all things, if you plan it as well in advance and you kind of know it's just about as well as kind of maybe. I'd describe it more as like shift work, if that kind of makes sense. It's almost like I've got to wake up a bit earlier, or it's a bit late today because that's who I'm recording with. But you always kind of find your ways, I think, with it.
Yeah.
In terms of Ash is probably, obviously Ash was the other kind of main co-finder from it. Like I've said, he's Hayley's brother, and so you know we started chatting, and then it was something that we both kind of enjoyed. And yeah, it was. So he was like, we were seeing each other quite a lot anyway, because obviously was going over to see Hayley quite a lot, and we were just like, well, we'll just film a video here and something like that, and that's how it's naturally developed with me and Ash in terms there. And Stephen was a little bit different. Stephen's my brother, and so F1 Fantasy started off with a guy called Zach, who was my friend, but for circumstances he couldn't continue F1 Fantasy, and I just kind of approached it with Stephen. I was like, do you want to kind of take over and do this? And he was like, yeah, why not? He's kind of quite a laid back character anyway, and so did that. And then it's just gone from, he's appeared in a few other videos here and there, and I think started with the new track comparison stuff as well. So I think we're just four guys, love F1 and just love chatting about it, and so it kind of works well together.
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely sounds amazing. It really, really does. Obviously, getting a view from a guy in Australia as well. Obviously, and I know that we know that he's in the Daniel Ricciardo a pretty like group, but that's about it. But of course, he'll have views on Danny Rick and Australian things, Alan Jones and the Melbourne Grand Prix. I'm just stereotyping here, but I mean, what a great, it's great. It'll be great to work with him. I mean, dedication wise, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, I know that you're working, Mark's probably working, and you both got full-time adult lives, and you're recording around this. It really is incredible. It really is. And I mean, hats off to both of you for doing this, obviously for getting up at stupid o'clock hours. We wouldn't do that. Me and Jordan, we record at about 5 and then off by 7 for, I wouldn't bend over backwards for how you are with Mark, but and also of course you guys over here in England, you're all connected some way as well. Of course, great friendship, a little bit like me and Jordan, I guess, in terms of the friendship. No, I'm joking, but yeah, I mean, fantastic. And of course, we've all been saying YouTube's great opinions, and so it gets you all closer together and forms bonds. So yeah, hats off to you guys. Very well done. Obviously, we'll learn a lot more about your partnership as well. But yeah, awesome.
So as we've established, Mike, earlier, that you're an Arsenal fan, which is like a kind of side thing that it's like your other kind of passion other than Formula One. So we're just gonna get like trying to understand you a bit more outside of YouTube, outside of Formula One. So of course you're an Arsenal fan, meaning you're a football fan, but is there anything else that you like doing besides Formula One and football? I mean, do you like another sport? I mean, are you a fan of TV? Are you like a fan of films, or are you gaming or anything like that? Like, what else do you get up to when you're not editing or filming or watching the football?
So yeah, that's a good question. Other sport, I probably should mention this as it's a massive part of my life, is cricket. And since about 16, I started my cricket coaching career, and that's one of my jobs.
A lot of C's.
That I do, exactly. And yeah, so I've been a cricket coach now for 8 years. I think on this front, 8 years now, coming into my 9th season of doing that, and obviously support England cricket. And obviously the last summer was very good, with England winning the 2019 Cricket World Cup, the first time in their history. So that was very cool to kind of witness and see. And having been to Ashes series growing up, So yeah, that's been a big part of my life, as well as Arsenal. And Arsenal on that front has been I think I've been a season ticket holder since 2011. So that's a lot of football and heartache. Not a big fan of the Carabao Cup or Capital One Cup or whatever rendition it is in there. Both times I've been to Wembley for those finals. One was a loss to Birmingham. Obafemi Martins, won't forgive that guy. And
former player for
one,
Newcastle, can I just add?
I knew you'd bring that up.
Obafemi? Yes, boys.
I knew you'd bring him up. I was like, oh God, do I mention him?
Oh, yes.
But and then obviously Shkodran Mustafi, he's just kind of left scars on me for what he attempted in his defending in the Carabao Cup, which really set the tone in the Man City one. But I've also seen some FA Cup wins at Wembley, including the 3 and 4 years. So that was very good. So yeah, Arsenal sport is a very big part of my life. I love it, and just a big fan of following it and sharing. I love talking about it. And so hence why I've got an F1 YouTube channel about it. But yeah, in terms of outside of F1, very much, I am a big fan of kind of movies and Netflix. I would say since the channel was kind of picked up, I've had less time to kind of binge watch series, but I'd say I'm definitely a binge watcher. So it was quite nice actually to last Friday binge watch Drive to Survive season 2 and just kind of go back to back and just go, come on, we got this.
So what are your first? Obviously, it's less than a week old as time of recording, but yeah, what's your thought of? Have you watched all episodes? And obviously, what do you think of it? Especially the Ferrari episode, which I'm still yet to watch at current time. So obviously, I'll let you know what happens. But what do you think of the series so far?
I really enjoyed it, and I know it's come through mixed reviews. But I really enjoyed the insight behind the scenes, kind of seeing the bit more of the human side to the drivers. I really like getting to know them a little bit better. It seems away from the media cameras, away from the kind of facade that they almost have to put up, to give the normal PR answers, the ones that kind of make the teams look. It just seems a little bit more natural. So it was interesting. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched, don't listen to this bit, but Alexander Albon's story, I had absolutely no idea about before.
Yeah.
Which,
that's crazy.
Incredible what he's had to do and drive his family forward just to kind of get where he is. And, I won't. And the Mercedes episode was, I'm trying to think of the ones that I wouldn't spoil it for you, Lyle. But yeah, the Mercedes episode was, fascinating to see just how well that team goes, and seeing, someone as successful as Lewis Hamilton, a 6-time world champion, obviously 5-time at the time of recording, just how much it hurt him to make a mistake at Hockenheim. You're like, you've absolutely blitzed the season today, and you're absolutely devastated that one race out of, the 21 hasn't gone well for you. It's like... It was really incredible to see. So, yeah, my first thoughts of that was very good. I enjoyed that quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely got some mixed reactions. Obviously, I mean, if anyone is listening and they have watched Drive to Survive, drop us a comment below and let's have a bit of a discussion. Because yes, like Mike said, it did leave us kind of like a bit divided online. So you said that you're a bit of a binge watcher there on Netflix. Would you recommend, if someone's listening to this and they're like, lately I've been really struggling to find something to purely get into, what would you recommend for somebody to watch?
Oh, look, you're now asking me as like a binge watch expert. This is a new role? This is
it is.
This is the next YouTube channel. Mike recommends Netflix.
Not a bad idea though. Hey, I think people would watch that.
And Netflix, if you are listening, we're open to collaborations.
Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely.
Netflix, you got Sean on there, so yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Sean obviously getting his snippet in the Williams episode. I don't know if you.
Proud.
I don't know if you guys have watched it. Is The Stranger and Safe? Those are two things. Safe apparently came out before The Stranger, but it's by the same people. They're kind of 8-episode series, and they're kind of like thriller whodunits. They're very cool in terms of that. What else did? From me, I quite like my history as well, but they're not kind of really history because it won't be inaccurate. But I never got round to watching it at the time, but I just recently watched it with Hayley. Recently was Black Sails on Amazon Prime. That was really good actually. Even if you're not a fan of pirates, it's quite a cool series actually. So from there, and what I'll try and get one last category in. If you like sci-fi, I think that Altered Carbon's actually quite good as well. That's quite dark, but it's quite interesting. It's kind of like a future world. But yeah, there you go. There's 3 or 4 for you to have. I'm recommending.
No, better than nothing. No, I've seen The Stranger. That's really, really good. I'll be watching Safe after I've watched Drive to Survive, and something else I think was on my mind. But yeah. So if anybody, like I said, you are like a bit stuck for stuff to watch, Mike from F1 Fanatics has just saved your bacon.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's your like interest outside of Formula 1, but of course 2005 brought along your love for Formula 1 and the best year, because as well as Fernando Alonso, obviously your love for Arsenal couldn't get better than the 2005 season, could it?
Well, look, Lal, I'm going to have to pull you up here. 2004 is the Invincibles. So I was maybe searching for that. 2005 was actually Patrick Vieira's last year with Arsenal, and we won an FA Cup last year, and that was actually the last trophy that we won in a long stint between then and, what was it, around about 2014, I think it was. We had a lot of trophyless seasons in between then, so yeah.
Right. Okay.
As a Newcastle fan, I'd forgive you.
And you threw away a 4-goal lead against Newcastle.
Oh, don't.
Hey.
Okay. It was okay. Well, I mean, Mike, it was just a question. You're not my favourite team in London. Anyway, yes, moving on. So Formula 1 brought on some big interest. Of course, biggest thing in our country, British Grand Prix. I remember last year when you were given what must have been one of the coolest birthday presents ever from your girlfriend, I believe, for you and Ash to do together, which was a Silverstone experience. You also went to Autosport earlier this year with Jordan, not me. So that's why I'm very excited to hear about it. Obviously, I've heard from him what it was like. So obviously, tell me a little bit about Autosport and the Silverstone experience, and yeah, your times at the British Grand Prix. Obviously, I know that you've been before, and obviously you're going this year as well. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Autosport, I'll start off with. That was very cool for me, because it's always something that I've kind of been like, I'm intrigued to go to this, but I've never really had anyone to go with. That kind of makes sense. And I was like, do I want to be that guy, just the anorak guy going around by myself going, I love cars.
Don't worry, Jordan does that quite a lot, so you'll be all right.
That's right, yeah. I've just completely pied off Jordan there. Hey, who did you go with this year, Jordan? Oh, well, you basically lived with Sean, didn't you, at Autosport? So.
I basically mingled in with Sean, and I think his mate then about Jonty and Dan came along later on in the day, and of course big shout out to Jack Chambers as well, who might be watching. So and he was our fan of the week as well a few weeks back. So happy days. So yeah, I think Sean was just like, oh hi, are you Jordan? Yeah, I'm Jordan. All right. And then I kind of I was like his shadow basically. It was just like, are you still with us? Like really? I think it was like, but no, it was nice to be like mingled about, because I went
following you about. It's very much like Jordan was at school, just following everyone about.
Yeah,
go away.
Please be my friend.
No, I'm very much John, but I mean, I share the same as well.
Yeah.
If you can't find anyone to go with you, instead of not going, just go on your own. But yeah, anyway, obviously you went with your F1 Fanatics crew. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Crew.
it kind of almost felt
boys.
like a crew for that. But so yeah, obviously it was me, Stephen, Ash, and actually one of she started off as a fan of the channel, commenting on a few videos, around about kind of 25 subscribers, and you know, she's one of our biggest supporters of the channel and stuff. And that was Katie. And you know, funnily enough, she said, you know, that she wasn't going to go because she didn't have anyone to come with, and we'd kind of developed a friendship at this stage, and so she invited to come with us. So Autosport was kind of special in that front, because one, it was the first time going, but it was also, we got to spend the day with someone like Katie and get to know her a little bit better. And it was kind of a bit like seeing you, Jordan, at the show as well. We kind of, obviously you guys, we've had a chat, we've built a friendship as well. We've spent a lot of time kind of talking to each other on Skype and, you know, via messages and stuff. But it's always nice to kind of, I think, meet someone in the flesh as well. And that was a really cool experience, and I enjoyed it. And obviously we met Aldas there as well, and that was really cool. But yeah, just that entire show was like mind-boggling. Just to see how many cars there were, the kind of 70 years in motorsport display, like, you know, cars that are iconic to the sport. And the more you guys probably have it as well, the more you kind of get into the sport, the more you kind of look into the history. So kind of seeing the 1992 Williams of Nigel Mansell, the 1988 MP44 McLaren, you know, the original black and gold Lotus, not like the Haas kind of remake of it. You know, it's you know what I mean, seeing these iconic, the Brawn, obviously Brawn is such a fairy tale time. That's one of my favourite F1 seasons, the 2009 Jenson Button winning that. You know, I love Jenson as a driver as well, and you know, seeing that car, it's funny, you know, it's like a white car with like the slimmest like fluorescent yellow stream on, but somehow it just looks so good. I don't know if that's because it's successful. If it wasn't successful, it might have looked on a bit differently to that. But yeah, Autosport was really amazing, kind of for the people that I got to meet from there and share the experience and share the day with, but also to kind of see all these kind of cars up close and personal and just geek out over it, I suppose, is the best word to go. Like, oh, it's cool, I love it.
Yes, Autosport sounding good. To be honest, my jealousy levels were through the roof when I saw that I saw Jordan was meeting everyone, and but you know what I mean. I'm not that jealous. You know, I went to Silverstone 2018.
It's next year, Jordan. It's next year, Lyle, isn't it? Yeah, you're coming next year. We'll have a big meet up at...
Oh yeah, of course. Of course, I'll be coming next year, definitely.
I basically, when I got back, I basically ordered him, right. Okay, we're going. You can't miss this.
Yeah, he did. Incredible. Yeah, he forced us to. But yeah, it'd be exciting. Of course, also we have plans to, of course, meet up at Silverstone this year. So obviously that brings us on to the British Grand Prix. It was 10 years ago for me and Jordan. Coming up 10 years ago that we first went. So what was your first British Grand Prix? And yeah, just tell us a little bit about kind of your experience at Silverstone, or have you been to, you know, Donington Park? I imagine not, but yeah, just tell us a little bit about Silverstone and your experience there, and of course, what are your plans for going this year?
So my first and only Grand Prix to date was Silverstone 2018, because you know, it's one of those things. It is expensive. It's not a cheap event to kind of go to, and obviously. We were having the Arsenal season ticket as well, but it got to... Stephen was getting more and more into his F1 with it as well, and it was coming up to his 21st birthday. So I kind of be selfish, but I kind of thought, you know, it would be a cool idea as well. So for his 21st, booked the weekend for us to kind of go to Silverstone, and it was an incredibly hot day. It was in the World Cup year where England were flying through to the semi-finals. I believe on that Saturday it was the quarter-final performance against Sweden. So it was almost like a party atmosphere all weekend. Yeah. And I can't really describe it. Like, it's such a special experience to kind of go to a Grand Prix. I just kind of got lost in the world of it for 3 days. Like, we had grandstand tickets, so obviously the Friday and the Saturday, you can literally sit in any grandstand you want. You can see all the cars at different stages. You got obviously the feature races like the F2, you got the Porsche Carrera Cup and stuff as well, and the kind of F1 classics. And I remember walking past... it's a moment that kind of sticks with me, other than obviously the race as well. But it's a moment that stuck with me. We were walking around on the qualifying on the Saturday, and we were walking past the national pit, old kind of national pit stop, kind of pit exit, and they were doing like a anniversary edition one, and I think it was a Red Bull from 2011 came out, and we were literally by the pit exit, and they decided that they were absolutely going to floor it, and my eardrum just went like woo, just as the first time I properly experienced it in real life, in terms of like a high performance F1 car with like a V8 engine just in my ear. And I was like, first of all, I was like, ow. But then I was like, that's amazing. I love that. I need to hear more of that. And, you know, it did a couple of laps and it's there. But just, yeah, the atmosphere at a Grand Prix, seeing F1 cars live. And the race, I think, was actually pretty good, from memory of it. And I remember Kimi Raikkonen spun Lewis Hamilton out early doors, and Vettel went on to actually win the race. And yeah, I think we were on farm curve, so we were by the pit exit, and we got to see the first corner as well. So that was pretty cool, in terms of that aspect. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to this year. It'd be amazing to share it with Ash, and I think Stephen's going to come, and can't wait to see you guys. And yeah, it's almost been kind of like a bug in terms of I've now got like an excuse. Not that I needed an excuse before, but like, well, I've got an F1 YouTube channel. Of course, I've got to get to the British Grand Prix. You know, I've got to be there. Surely,
you represent F1 Fanatics.
But yeah, I absolutely can't wait. And going to a Grand Prix is one of the best sporting events that I've ever been to. In terms of, yeah, it's just kind of an amazing experience being there.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, 2018, you know, great. It's yeah, obviously. Great game on the Saturday, hot weather, it's coming home. Obviously, Sebastian wins as well that year, so yeah, you must have been pretty happy. Yeah, great. And obviously last year as well, you mentioned you were a cricket fan, so of course we won on that day as well. So me and John were doing the pit walk when we actually won then, or on the bus or something like that. But yeah, it was during that day, and it was absolutely crazy. So obviously, as I mentioned there on the channel, it was actually shared on the channel as well. Last year, you were given a Silverstone experience for you and Ash's birthday, I believe. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that. Obviously, it sounded amazing. Again, very jealous.
So actually, it is yet to happen, and it is of Good Friday this year, because we got it, and then we went to book, and they went, we're booked out for the year. And we're like, oh, okay. And so we had to kind of wait. But since about October, I think we've had it booked for Good Friday. So there's almost like a countdown going on. We're just like, you know, it's almost here now, actually. It's just 1 month to go. It will be in April. So yeah, that experience for people was like a single-seater experience. I think it's like an equivalent. I don't know what it is, but it's just a single seater one going around the kind of Stowe circuit, which is on the inner one. And yeah, I can't wait for that. And I know Ash will be super competitive, so he will definitely be wanting to come out on top on that one. But the second part of that was actually a Silverstone Tour, and that was really cool as well. We actually did the national circuit in a minibus. That was quite funny. So they just drive you around. Yeah. So going through Maggots, because you don't do the full Maggots and Beckett's, but I think you go through Maggots on through there, and going through Cops flat out in a minibus is quite funny experience. But that's actually really good value. I'd recommend that for anyone who can get to Silverstone. I think it's only like £30. But yeah, you get to go all behind the scenes, see the pit garages where they are. I mean, they are quite bland now that the F1 teams aren't there, because F1's like a circus. It literally strips and takes everything wherever it goes with it. But you know, you got to see the press box, you got to see race control, the podium. You know, it was pretty cool, kind of behind the scenes look at things. And you know, as an F1 fan, it was very cool to kind of see those type of things. But yeah, cannot wait for the driving experience in April.
Plenty of things to look forward to as well. And speaking of the future, looking ahead, what's your plans for F1 Fanatics going forward? Because like, you've got a relatively good, consistent series, coming along as well. Of course, you've got like the feeder series as well. You've got your Fantasy Weekly as well. You've got the news, and of course, when the races come along, you'll have previews, reviews, and that kind of thing. But what's next for F1 Fanatics? Where do you want the channel to go to? Like, what areas do you want to improve it? Like, where's the next step basically?
Good question. Good question. It's often one that I sit here going, I'm not really sure, because it kind of started off, and I think you guys would have felt it like at the start of when you guys started your channel. You kind of start and you go, oh, this is fun, but not really expecting anything, because you're like, oh, nothing. And it's still 470 odd subscribers. It's a bit like you go. It's still crazy. The idea, hope of it, I think, is for it to grow and to be something that at least could maybe influence some part-time income that could mean that I could dedicate a bit more time to it. In terms of improving the channel, it's always, I think, learning, kind of improving graphics. I know people like Tomo F1, who's come onto the scene recently, well, in the F1 scene. Obviously he's been doing YouTube for a while, and kind of Cranky Yankee, like those guys' levels of graphics are like amazing to me. Like I watch their videos and I go, that's really cool. I've got no idea how to do that. Putting pictures into it is like my limit at the moment, and maybe adding some text over the top and going, oh, that looks nice, that's a good picture. But yeah, exactly. I mean, but yeah, maybe improving the logo, improving the graphics. Those are the type of things that I think any kind of YouTube, once you kind of start investing more time and thinking, what, this might actually be something. I think you always want to just improve the way stuff looks and stuff. And in terms of content, like it's a bit like you guys. I think. And this series, I think, with the series that we got, like the F1 Worldwide, the F1 Fantasy, the feeder series, and like you said, the reviews, previews, that kind of stuff almost writes itself. And it's just, if anything, can we get to more Grand Prix? Can we do like our live reactions at the Grand Prix? I mean, I think that would be pretty cool if you're like doing a live reaction and walking down the pit straight at Silverstone or something like that. It's... those are the type of things. But yeah, F1 Fanatics, I think it's still very much in the stages of keep investing in time. I wish that it becomes something, because I love F1 and I've loved doing this channel. I've loved making videos. I love the kind of friendships that I've made, obviously, like with you guys, but obviously with others in the F1 community, and like doing stuff like you, Jordan, did going on the live stream with Sean during testing. Like, those stuff was awesome, going on other people's channels. Like, that's what I'd love to do. But yeah, it's YouTube is a very kind of, it's dictated by people. You got to have the people who like it. So hopefully people enjoy what we do watching. But that's all you got to rely on, I think, hasn't it?
Yeah, you've got like a very good like mini fan base on the go. Like, you've got like your regular commenters, like you said there, Katie as well. Of course, David Noble as well. He's another one that's a regular commenter as well. I've noticed him. So yeah, you've got like a nice little group on the go as well. And I think like your channel status, it is pretty healthy at the moment, and you're going in a very good direction. Like, your channel's got a big, I would say it's got a really good future ahead of it. Definitely, if you keep investing your time on it, I think definitely F1 Fanatics could be something that the likes of Tom F1 should be looking behind his back going, oh, hang on a minute, these guys are coming up quick. But no, seriously, I think your channel is going to be one of those channels where like you go, wow, these guys definitely know what they're talking about, and you can definitely tell that they are not only passionate about YouTube, but mainly passionate about, of course, Formula One. But probably, I think this next feature is like one of my favourite features. We've got some fan questions, haven't we, Lyle? Which is, always. Yes, I like this bit. Yes, we've got questions. Phew.
Well, you haven't got many. You've got 4. No, it's the 4 quality ones. We take
we've got some.
Quality
I'm
over. We take quality over quantity. Anyways, so the first one, or the first 2 even, come from, again, a returning favourite to you, Katie Lewis.
Oh, good old Katie.
Obviously, she's commented on basically both of our channels, but obviously she's been on yours. Was it your most recent F1 Worldwide podcast at time of recording? See, she's a big fan of that guy from Denmark, I think it is, the Haas driver. No, I'm not too sure what he.
Be very careful what you say.
Is it Jan Magnussen? Is it Jan?
Yeah, I think it's Jan. It's not someone we really know. I mean, I think he was famous for that thing he said to Nico Hulkenberg a few years ago. Anyways,
I think he's bang average.
Yeah. I didn't say, let the record say I didn't say that. Anyways, so first question from Katie Mike is: if F1 drivers were members of the Arsenal football team, past or present, who would each driver be and why?
Oh wow. What a question that is. What past and present F1 drivers? Or just from the current grid?
I think, let's say, I don't know how that's worded. To keep it simple, because not everyone knows everything about Arsenal, including me, let's say current Arsenal players and current Formula 1 fans. Drivers, sorry.
Oh, well, okay. All right. Well, I think Lewis Hamilton, as an Arsenal fan, I've got to put him up top. I've got to let him be the star of the show, and I've got to let him be a Aubameyang. He's quick.
Well, they actually met in Monza 2019. They were having as Lewis meets everyone, Will Smith, Odell Beckham Jr. He meets everyone, but
he does.
Yeah, him and Aubameyang had a bit of a tete-a-tete in Monza.
See, look, there you go.
So, yeah, very, very
what a perfect selection. They know each other. They've mentioned it. It was actually funny. I think Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV was on Ted's notebook as well, but I don't know anyone. I don't know if you guys spotted it. He was hanging outside the Alpha garage or something like that.
Just quickly, Mike, was that the only thing I know from that are related is a few years ago, obviously when you had Arsene Wenger in charge, amazing manager, and obviously he was getting towards the end of his career, lost a few games, and that Wenger out thing started to creep up. And I remember it was in Spain, and it was Ted's notebook actually, and somebody was spotted in the background with a Wenger out sign. Was that him?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was. But
there was someone caught, and obviously Ted even said, "Oh, can you see that Wenger out sign?" And it honestly, and we saw it get shared on Facebook and Twitter. It was the talk of the town at that time.
It was very funny indeed. But yeah, no, that would have been Robbie. He tends to, I think, stay neutral on that front. But another one. Right, Kimi Räikkönen has to be Mesut Ozil. The guy who's very talented, but you're not entirely sure in terms of how much he kind of has that lackadaisical approach to things. From there, oh god, now going Max Verstappen, I feel would be maybe a bit like Torreira in terms of he's a bit of a dog at your heels type of thing. He's kind of relentless. He keeps going. Type of guy. I know he's kind of the star talent, but I'm just kind of going for that tenacious kind of attitude, in terms of trying to get Max's fighting spirit in there. I think maybe that one's the best for him. Maybe Sebastian Vettel is Pepe, because Pepe's got a fantastic left foot. And Sebastian Vettel is fantastic when he's in cars that are suited to him. But if you put him on the right foot, he's not going to be. He's still going to be good, but he's not going to be as strong. So, I think I'm clutching at straws with this one. But who should I do? As it was Katie's question, because otherwise we'll go on forever in terms of trying to get in terms of a whole team. As it's Katie's question, Kevin Magnussen. Who should Kevin Magnussen be?
On the bench.
Maybe I'll go Kevin Magnussen as Granit Xhaka, because he's a guy with talent, but in terms of the wrong machinery or the wrong roles, which sometimes he's played at Arsenal, he doesn't look great, and with fans he's kind of got a mixed reception in terms of, there'll be some people who really like Granit, and there'll be some people who not sure what the hype is about Granit and Kevin Magnussen. Maybe that's the one there. So maybe that's where we finished. But that was a good question. But yeah, definitely difficult to try and pinpoint people.
That is a good question from Katie. And she's also come in with another question. How good is that? Go on, Katie. She also says, if you ever get to meet Kimi, will you tell him about the Kimi moment of the week from, of course, your series F1 Fantasy?
100% yes, but I think I might get a really strange look and the conversation might end really quickly. Like, he might go, why are you talking about me every week? It's like, because you're funny. And he's like, I'm not funny. I'm just Kimmy.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. What?
just that walk off.
or he just be like, why are you talking about my hobby? That is, if you haven't got to that stage yet, that's my highlight of the new Drive to Survive season. Just Kimmy at the end. They're bigging it up, and he's just gone, it's a hobby. I could take it or leave it. Classic. just like, yeah, fair enough. Like, most people kill to be in like an F1 seat, and Kimmy's just driving around, in his 40s going, having a great time. Have some ice cream, where's my steering wheel? All that malarkey. Leave him alone, guys. He knows what he's doing. I think I've got as many kind of catchphrases in there as I can.
Some good ones.
Right, so your next question, or your next two even, sorry, is from Mark, of course, connected to your channel, but as he's on the other side of the world, he misses a lot of things about you, so he's obviously posted a few questions to you. So the first one that he says is, have any of your views on F1 changed since starting your channel?
Absolutely on this one, actually. I would say since starting the channel, in terms of forcing it and how I wanted to do, I've had to become a lot more impartial, and I would say I look at things in a different way, and certainly I would say I would definitely like go, before watching it properly, I'd do a classic like, that guy's rubbish. I'll use the example because I know you're a fan of him, Lyle. Lance Stroll. I think at the early stage of the channel, in a kind of our mid-season review, I think I gave him like something stupid, like a 2 out of 10 for his halfway. Yeah. And I'm like, who's this guy doing the classic argument of he's only here because of his dad's money, what's he doing in F1? But then you kind of, when you look into things a little bit more, you go, well, you know what, I'm a bit harsh on these guys, and realistically in F1 you're never going to get like the top 20 grids, but Lance Stroll definitely deserves, he's certainly capable of a seat. Would he have been in Racing Point if Force India went under? Probably not, but he probably still would have been at Williams, and he still did reasonably well at Williams for his time, and he came up against a tough teammate against Checo. His main thing is his qualifying, which lets him down, but I would say I'm a lot more open to things now from watching, and I certainly with F1 I certainly look at the detail a lot more now. It gives me an excuse to be even more obsessed by it, that Hayley gets to the stage where she's just like, can we talk about something other than F1 now? And I'm like, oh God, sorry, I've been doing it all. But don't you want to know about who's kind of really liking the new Pirelli tyres? No, I don't care. But that type of thing. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I completely agree. In terms of, obviously, when I was watching races beforehand, I would be paying attention, but maybe not in the detail I would with this. And of course, our views have changed because everyone's got their own story. With, as you said, Mike, Stroll and of course like Latifi, Verstappen, they all have different. Basically, all 20 drivers have, loads behind them, and it's fun to just kind of decode that. And of course, obviously, giving us a great snippet of your Stroll. I thought you were gonna go and change this episode into a Stroll episode. I was like, someone needs to stop him, but thankfully you did, anyways.
No, I'm with Lance Stroll. I'm okay with him. I think I root at the start of this season. I'm not hoping anyone does badly. I'm rooting for everyone to do well, and I want everyone to do what they can. But obviously it's sport, so there has to be winners and losers. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Exactly. Really good point. Another question from Mark. He says, what was the biggest surprise for you, channel wise?
A few really. I'll pick a few. First of all, it was that you guys responded, because I think at that time, we were on about 30 odd subscribers, and you guys were maybe on 700, 800. I was like, I'll send a message. They won't reply, but you did. And so that was, I was like, oh, maybe people are a little bit more open. Maybe I just need to kind of say hi to a few more people. In terms of that, I'd suppose the biggest surprise has probably been over January and February in terms of how many subscribers we've got, and a massive thank you has to go to Tomo F1 and Josh Revel on this, because I remember, Jordan, you text me and you were like, oh, I hear a rumour that someone got a shout out on Tomo's channel, and I was like, sorry, what? And had to go and check it out, and from both of theirs kind of shout outs, we probably almost got like 100 subs from each, and it was quite nice that people, I know, speaking from you guys, it's when you see someone who's bigger than you on the platform, who takes note of what you do and just takes the time just to do something as small as just say, why don't you go and check these guys out, or I like this video from F1 Fanatics or F1 Debate Show. It's absolutely massive, and it's kind of surprised by that. And I suppose the biggest surprise from the channel has been how many friendships I've made from it, in terms of people like, I don't think we would have ever come across each other. Me or Katie wouldn't. Me and Mark certainly wouldn't have come across each other, because he's the other side of the world. So like, meeting these people, and now people that are part of my kind of everyday life and stuff like that, even if it's through virtual friendships most of the time, it's they're kind of they've been a big surprise.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, awesome. I mean, yeah, we completely agree. The amount of people that we've talked to, it's incredible. And of course, obviously, you guys as well, your collaborations and friendship is amazing. You met Jordan, and obviously, hopefully, meet at Silverstone, and it's going amazing, really. So, yeah. Right, okay, the next kind of fun little thing we have planned, Mike, so kind of the big questions are out the way with, is the 60-second quiz. Now, spoiler alert, this is 60 seconds, of course. So we're going to implement this for season 2, and you're kind of the guinea pig to see how it goes. So 60 seconds.
Be nice.
Quick fire questions. So of course, Mike, you haven't seen these questions. So 6 seconds. Don't think about them. Just say them, or just give me a little bit of a think. But don't just quick fire, and then let's go. So I'll try and get this as close to a minute as I can, or 6 seconds. I'm gonna have to change it to like a 58-ish seconds. Okay, so are you ready?
Right, okay, I'm good. I'm startled. I'm ready to go.
Okay, let's go. Okay. Silverstone or Monaco?
Oh, Silverstone.
Arsenal or Ferrari?
Arsenal.
Danny Rick or Kimi Räikkönen?
Kimi Räikkönen.
Cricket or golf?
Cricket.
Wenger or Binotto?
Wenger.
Leclerc or Verstappen?
Verstappen.
Channel 4 F1 or Sky Sports F1?
Oh, that's you're a nasty one on that one. I'm going to go Sky Sports. They've grown on me over the years.
Henri or Ozil?
Henri.
Norris or Russell?
Russell.
Yas Marina or Intergalos?
Interlagos.
England rugby or England football?
England football.
Radion or 130R?
Radion.
And Latifi or Stroll?
Or Stroll.
And that's time. There we go.
Bang.
Yeah, there we go.
So there we go. Some good.
Intense. God, what a pressure. What do I win? What's my prize?
Your prize is to complete the F1 Dream Team, which Jordan will take.
Oh, how exciting. It's the prize I've been searching for, guys. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank my mum, my dad, for getting me here to this moment. It's amazing. This is it, guys.
This is peak.
This is what we've been working towards.
This is as good as it gets. It really, really is. But no, actually, that was quite interesting, Lyle, because I didn't know what to expect from that. I was like, oh, no. Lyle was like, I've got this thing. I'm gonna tell Mike, but I'm not going to tell you because I want you to be a surprise. Like, oh, okay, I like that. That was really good. Good idea.
Cheers,
so obviously, to conclude this interview, we've been rambling on for over an hour now. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. But last year we did this, and we are going to be continuing this in 2020. So each and every guest we interview, at the end of the interview, we'll be asking them to say their ultimate, well, pretty much their F1 dream team. So we require 2 drivers, of course, past or present who have been in Formula One since the year 1950, of course. We would like one car that they will be driving throughout that season. One team boss, team owner, team manager, and what will your team be called? So let's start with your two drivers. Which two drivers in F1 would you have in your team?
So I've been thinking about this because I've listened to kind of previous ones. Obviously, I've got to get my man Fernando in there. I've got to have Alonso.
Yeah, I thought he would be in there.
He's straight in the team. I'm going to get him his third world championship. Don't worry, Nando, got your back. And I'm going to go with a left field one here because, you know, I've seen a couple of ones, some just kind of going for kind of great drivers, some just going, you know, guys they'd kind of like to see and have in a team. But I'm going to go with a successful time in Fernando's career. I'm going to go with Juan Carlo Fisichella because he's the only teammate that he's kind of really got on with. I mean, off the track he might have got on with other ones, but it's the only kind of functionally working partnership that he's pretty much had throughout his career. So it seemed a no-brainer to me.
Good two drivers. What car would they be driving?
I'm going to go for a combination of kind of sound and dominance. And I'm going to go for the Ferrari 2004. Michael Schumacher's last World Championship winning car was pretty dominant that year and sounded great roaring around the kind of circuit of Imola. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to have there, the Ferrari 2004.
Good choice, good choice. Who would be the man in charge? Obviously, your team owner. Who are you going to put in charge as team boss to kind of see and run the operation while you're probably on a remote island somewhere just chilling, sipping some cocktails and listening to Arsenal getting beat off Newcastle?
had to put that one in. That 4-4 does still give me scars today.
That's all I've got. That's all we've got to live off now. The 5-0 of Sunderland and the 4-4 of Arsenal. Anything else, it just goes wrong.
And there's three who came into contention for me. One was Frank Williams. One was Ross Brawn. And one was Toto Wolff. I'm going to go with Toto. I just think, and especially Drive to Survive Season 2 kind of reaffirmed my thoughts on this. Just the way that he manages people and he's got that team going, how he's managed to turn Mercedes into a dominating team for the past, 6 years, and I think as fans we kind of hope it's not 7 years, but probably have an expectancy that it might be 7 years. Just the way that he operates a team, and you know, I think you really need a strong team principle to kind of get the best out of Alonso and that situation. And yeah, I think Toto's my man that's going to bring success to my team.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that one. And finally, your team name. What's this great team with the Ferrari 2004, Fisichella and Alonso with Toto Wolff at the helm? Who are they going to be managing, and who are they going to be driving for?
So who's going to be driving for me? What's our team going to be called? That's the one. Sorry, I've gone off on one there. So F1 Fanatics is the team channel, but I don't think F1 Fanatics GP works. I'm going to go with Fanatics F1 Racing. I think that's going to be our team. We're just switching it round, and I think it just works better for an F1 team. For the YouTube, F1 Fanatics works. For the race team, Fanatics F1 Racing.
Not Fanatics F1 Racing Point or Force India or whatever you want to call them.
Oh, sorry. It will be F1 Fanatics Racing Point, Sport Pezza, Marlborough, Cannon, Carlsberg Racing. We've got racing in twice.
I'm surprised you didn't say Emirates, obviously sponsor of Arsenal. Are you going to be Emirates F1 Fanatics?
No, well,
Fanatics F1 Racing?
I heard I don't want to take any more money away from Arsenal, you see, so I've got to be careful. I can't be splitting their sponsorship money around. So, yeah, I've got to make sure we get our money from other sources.
But no, that
just
I think your team is pretty solid. So yeah, really enjoy. Yeah. Good team, very good team.
Yeah. Just a final thing on your Arsenal thing. Lewis Hamilton is an Arsenal fan. Well, he said he's an Arsenal fan. So of course, what do you think about that? Obviously, one of the most successful, if not the most successful driver, and the most successful British world champion is an Arsenal fan. So what do you think about that?
He has absolute brilliant tastes, and you can see obviously, where he's got his inspiration from. Clearly, the 2004 Invincibles. He looked at Schumacher. He looked at the Arsenal, and he's like, I want to be like that. And then red. That's why Lewis Hamilton. It's not Ineos that are putting the red on Mercedes this year. It's Lewis Hamilton clearly, getting his Arsenal links finally onto his car. He had it in the McLaren days when he had the Vodafone sponsorship. He got his red in there, so he's finally got his way after 6 world championships. Mercedes have finally caved in.
Well, if Verstappen is going to be a true rival of Lewis Hamilton in 2020, he just needs to be a Tottenham Hotspur fan. Anyways, that is the end of our first interview, our first episode of F1 Online Decoded in Series 2 in 2020. Mike, thank you very much for being on our channel. It's a real pleasure. Any final words from you, sir?
Guys, honestly, thank you so much for having me on. It's always great to get to you, and from kind of day one, you guys have kind of been one of our biggest supporters, and it's always nice to have that on. And yeah, it's been kind of really nice kind of having a chat with you guys, obviously you guys getting to know a little bit more about my backstory that doesn't necessarily come up in normal conversation. But as always, just love chatting to you about F1 and, well, turns out a few other topics as well. But yeah, it was brilliant. Thank you. I really enjoyed today.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, Mike. No problem at all.
No problem.
Links to F1 Fanatics will be in the description box below. Of course, guys, if you haven't checked out F1 Fanatics, go and check them out. Great channel, got great inspirations, and of course, we hope you've enjoyed the interview with Mike. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Of course, make sure to stay on track with us for the rest of 2020. We've got some great content, including, of course, the continuation of this series. Some great people lined up. And until episode 2, guys, UF1 fans, keep racing.
Oh, guys, you stole it. Go on. All right. I'll send it off for you guys. For now, UF1 fans, keep racing.